I got to bring it up just because you mentioned him. How disappointing is, I mean, the time we're recording this, we've got the UFC card on Saturday, and Joaquin Buckley's fighting D'Trico, your last opponent. I think everyone wanted that James Krause fight. Is it disappointing just because I know you wanted to fight him? I know Zach Cummins wanted to fight him. It seemed like there was something there, and I don't know why it didn't come to fruition in terms of the matchup.
Yeah, so like that whole situation, I wanted to fight Joaquin because I think that would be a fun fight. I think it's a great fight that he has against him, a nice little test against D'Trico. D'Trico is very good. Like, if you sleep on him, he'll come back and do what he does. He's fought a lot of people. He arguably beat Kevin Holland in their matchup. He had a close fight with Zach Cummins. He beat me by a split. He had that victory, or he had a close fight against the Russian. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's a decent fighter. He's a good fighter, and I wanted to fight Joaquin because I was like, oh, that would be a good fight for me. I needed somebody, but there's a lot of built up like real hatred between him and James, so I can't step into that. That's like saying Nate Diaz sending one of his teammates to go fight Conor for him. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and
I didn't know that was a real deal. So whenever Joaquin ended up contacting me for the fight, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna do this, James kind of like explained it to me, and I was like, okay, I can't. There's something more than that and that deal. But I think it's a great matchup for Joaquin. I think we all would have loved to see him and James fight. That beef would have been real. And I bet that fight will happen if Joaquin builds up his record a little bit more and James can be a name. It just doesn't make sense for the UFC to schedule a 10-plus fight vet in the UFC against a guy that's fought 4 times, maybe 3 times.
Mm-hmm. I understand. What do you think of people, though? I mean, you see it on social media, people still saying that James is scared to fight him. Like, I mean, this is a guy who fought Trevin Giles on, 24 hours notice up a weight class, right? Like, it's crazy to see that people still think that way.
Yeah, people are going to say and do what they want to do regardless. They want to sit there and create something that's not really there. Joaquin's not talking about James at all, and James is not talking about him. It's just the fans. The fans are always going to be the matchmakers. They're always going to be the ones that are going to put words in other people's mouths. They're going to say things that, aren't true because that's what they do. You can't read all the comments and, still have a successful fight career. If you followed everyone's fighting advice on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, it wouldn't go anywhere. So it's just cool for both of those guys because everyone's, still putting their name out there. Yeah. Someday we might get that beef. We might get that real fight, like we haven't had one since Khabib and Conor. Like that's the biggest real hatred fight. Jorge and Nate had their deal, but it wasn't as real hatred as Khabib did not like Conor. Conor's trying to say it's business, but it's not like that.
Yeah, let's kick it off, Jack Cross to the beat, beating you MMA, heat is the main course of the feast. Lynch on sports, the force, he's got his ears to the streets. Uppercutting with knowledge, shaking the brain with breakdowns of the game with that original flow. Head kicks with the pros, picks of the fights or anything in the mix.